Kia ora koutou, haere mai ki te Olea podcast, Wa Tuku Reo Māori. Kia ora, Kapene.
Kia ora.
Got you there, didn't I?
Kia ora whānau. Yeah, no, that's cool. All good. Just in case people didn't realise, it is Te Tuku Reo Māori, which is Māori Language Week.
Yep.
So we're going to have a little bit of a chat about that in our ham-fisted way. We try our best.
Yep.
And we're going to have some responses to what we asked last time on listening to music differently. I've got an author to talk about. You've got some new comedy to talk about. And yeah, that's where we're going with it. And I think we're going to do the responses to our do musicians listen to music differently to the rest of us.
Yeah, so if you listened or watched the last episode, I raised the question, being a musician, does it make you listen to music differently? I think it does. So I put the word out there. I got a few responses back. So my mate Wally, see you, Willie, he replied, yes.
Okay.
Willie's a bass player with a few stories to tell from the Glasgow music scene in the 80s. So, thanks for the response, Willie. I also got one back from Dan Starr. Hey, Dan, how you doing? Dan is a great blues man. He also does an online radio show now. So, so Dan says, I think you can have a greater appreciation by listening to all and appreciating the individual parts that make up the whole. Good point. But that's not limited to musicians, but musicians are more likely to do that. So that's a fair point. You do hone in on the keyboard part or the bass part or something, or the kick drum or something like that.
Yeah.
Thanks for that, Dan. And then Mike, my mate Mike Harmon, who I've been in a band with Mike before. He's a drummer, not a musician. I'll read Mike's comment. I know I'm only a drummer, but in my experience, yes, we do. For a start, you tend to appreciate a fine chord sequence or drum pattern and immediately want to work out what it is. That's true. All the songwriting musicians I've known can barely listen all the way through a song without being distracted onto a new one. Yeah.
Oh, no.
I find that people who play music regularly listen to less music in general, although that's changed a bit with streaming and having music continuously in the car, etc. But all the jobby musicians I hung around with back in the day had the smallest record collections. Interesting. Finally, being a drummer, I'm not allowed to sit too close to electrical equipment in case I drool on it. So that also affects the way I listen. Thanks for that, Mike. I used to be in a band with Mike. He's a good lad. So thanks for those comments. Awesome. Keep them coming, folks. If you're a musician or you know one, you can ask them the same question. Good feedback. Thanks for that.
See what they say. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, good stuff.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll have a little chat about Te Tuku Reo Māori week, shall we? Yeah. Without getting political, hopefully.
Tiny bit.
It's so every week we over here, for those that aren't over here, we have a week dedicated to the language of Māori, Te Reo Māori, and the TV shows, TV stations put their signage in the language, and generally people around speaking the language more, you just see more of it, which is great. And we'll try to pick up a few words, get little ads on TV teaching you a few words in between TV shows. Subtitles and some good programming. I watched, which I think is a series, or there's been a few of them, but I just caught one the other night, Hongi to Hongi. I don't know if you've ever watched it. It was the Waiata special, Waiata being like Māori music, essentially. And it was great. Did you see it?
Songs. No.
Yeah, the one about them. Yeah, it was good. Well worth a watch. That was good. But I'm down here in Otipoti.
You are.
Dunedin, Te Waiponamu, the South Island. We don't really get exposed to the Te Reo Māori so much down here because we just don't have so many Māori down here. It's too cold.
Demographically, it's different.
A very, very different experience for you. So you'll probably have more to say on this. But one thing I meant to mention a little while ago, and I forgot to mention it on here, but when the Women's World Cup was on, and I went to the New Zealand called Silver Fern, White Ferns, whatever they're called. I went to their game down here in Otipoti, and national anthem was sung in Te Reo, because I don't know if any of you have ever watched any sporting events and noticed that often the New Zealand national anthem is sung in two languages. They sing it in Māori, then they sing it in English. Well, they only sang it in Māori at the World Cup. I don't know if you noticed that.
I did.
And
yeah.
in the stadium, not one person was singing. Not one.
No, it doesn't strike me as particularly unusual that that happened. Let's say it's not just down
because
there.
I think they just didn't know it. I think they just didn't know it.
No,
because,
true. They don't.
No, because they showed a clip of the cricket fans. I don't know where it was. I think it was in England, but the New Zealand cricket fans were singing the national anthem in Māori quite nicely. But yeah, just it was weird to be at a sporting event where no one's singing along to the national anthem, for the home team.
I can think of something even weirder than that. In that the family, not me though, at the time, but went to an Anzac Day ceremony, the morning ceremony.
Yep.
North of Auckland, here in a small town called Matakana, where you've probably been, maybe. And again, just English. The national anthem was English. And my partner Anne asked one or two people who appeared to be the organisers why that was. And they said, well, we couldn't find anybody that knew it. And I thought, wait a minute, there's many children go to these things. There are many schools in your area. One about 250 metres away from the statue where you were holding the ceremony. Matakana School. They would know it. All you would have to do.
The kids' choir could have come in to do it. It would have been great.
The kids' choir to come down and give you that part of it. But no, they'd rather not thought of that, and I found that very, very strange indeed. It's difficult to get a grip. There's the current hysteria about a little bit of politics coming up here, a bit ElTele style. There's a little bit of hysteria about having road signs bilingually, say in Wales and many other countries throughout the world. Terrifies people that they don't know where to go. If there's
the irony being, I don't know how to get to Oamaru, and I don't want you to tell me.
Exactly. You already live there, you idiots.
It's Maori, and it's Maori anyway. The name
it won't be written twice.
Yes,
I live in Tamaki Makaurau, and it just strangely scares people. How will we know? How will we know if it says Kura on the sign that it's a school? Well, probably because it will say school, and there'll be a school next to it. Yeah. That might be how you might learn that. It's kind of odd. It was also. I'll give a quick example proposed this year by the New Zealand Geographic Board, and I'm going to have to read this one because I don't say this very often. Nā Pauna Ha'o Aotearoa Geographic Board to return a name to a town called Russell, which is up north, which I believe was the very first, named as the capital because it's where ships arrived from other parts of the world. And Governor Hobson, who was around at the time, purchased land and renamed it Russell in honour of the Secretary of State for the Colonies, Lord John Russell, as you do if you're a coloniser. But it is proposed that they return it to Kororareka, which is a much more musical and original name. That I find that quite interesting too. The names for the cities certainly appear in weather forecasts, and they tend to say both these days, don't they? So it'll be interesting to see just how far this goes. To change.
It's really tricky, and down here, local Facebook groups and stuff. There are some strong opinions, shall we say? One that made me really laugh was I saw this on a local Facebook group. I can't remember what it was, but some woman, middle-aged white woman, Pakeha, was having a rant. I don't want to be called Pakeha.
Okay.
I don't want to be known by a Maori name. I'm a Kiwi, and that's what I want to be called. Someone replied, "Kiwi's a Maori word, and you're an idiot." So anyway, I don't want to get too political on this, but this, you got the British
inconsistencies with that kind of stance.
There are. You've got the British Empire at work, unfortunately, and that will live on. But we've seen it, even in the UK. I think they've torn down statues and put them in museums and all that stuff.
I'm sure there's one or two gone here too.
Yeah. So, yes, but it's a lovely language, I think.
It is. But we do our best.
Yeah,
We do
try
our
and
best
speak a few words.
Try and speak a few words.
Let's still be nice and get along, because it's a good thing to do, I think.
Yeah.
On that bombshell, what have you been up to, Captain, apart from that?
Up to. In a few spare moments, I went down to the Chazza, as I do sometimes, the op shop, as it's called here. And I was delighted to find a couple of books, which we've got here. So there's Fred Vargas's The Chalk Circle Man, and Fred Vargas's The Three Evangelists, both in excellent condition for $2 each. That's fine. And they are the first in the Commissaire Adamsberg series and the first in the Three Evangelists series, which is called The Three Evangelists, are basically crime procedural set in France, written by Fred Vargas, who is Frédéric Audouin Rousseau.
Is he French?
She is a historian.
Frederic, sorry. Yeah.
Indeed. She is a historian and an archaeologist and a writer. And I was glad to find both of these. I've read them before, absolutely ages ago, and with my memory, it's fantastic because I can read these things again. And it also prompted another point, loosely connected with language, in that the translator of the Fred Vargas books is called Sian Reynolds, and her translations are fantastic because, and I think this happens sometimes, G loses nothing of the flavour of the Frenchness of the characters in these novels. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it sounds like France. I think if you weren't careful, you could put a perfectly flawless translation in, and it would sound less atmospheric and less French.
Yeah.
There's a Scandinavian crime writer called Henning Mankell, who wrote the Wallander books, and he was translated by Laurie Thompson. And again, there, the sort of atmosphere of the book, the atmosphere of the country, comes across. And I don't know if this is a particular skill or whether I just happen to notice that this, having read other Scandinavian novels, that Seaborn was quite plain by comparison. But
yeah, you need someone that really knows both languages really, really well, and both cultures, and really gets the book. And I'm sure they're not translating word for word, right? They're just representing it in. Yeah, you couldn't do it word for word. This is why AI won't ever.
Yeah,
well, will it?
I think that's it.
Yeah,
I don't. We don't. I don't think so. It could, Yeah, you've got to get further away than Google Translate or even AI. I think you have to inhabit the characters and the country, and that's the point that I thought when I was starting to reread the Adamsberg book number 1. Do I recommend them? Yes, I do. Of course I do. I like them. Well, I've read quite a few of them in the past. Buy some Fred Vargas books or get them out of the library. They're easy reading. Pile in. It's great stuff.
Well, I don't have a book on the go at the minute. I'm having a little break, but I don't really read enough fiction. I read lots of fact books. Maybe I'll have a look up Fred Vargas. Just remembered something that we should mention. Could mention. Taskmaster NZ finished this week.
Indeed, it did finish. It did.
I missed the last 5 minutes. I think. I won't give a spoiler. But it's quite close at the end. I think, was it? The scores.
It was. I mean, it started out with at the beginning of the final episode with Mel Bracewell and Bob trying to fight it out over the course of the last episode to win. And again, I'm not going to give it away if people haven't seen it. It was a good one. It was a good one. Yeah. Coincidentally, today on the spin-off, I can put a link into this. There's every task on New Zealand Taskmaster rated from this task was rubbish to this task was absolutely brilliant. I think there's 172 of them now.
Right.
I think that was the number I saw in the article, and I haven't read it all yet. I haven't even skimmed through it to find my favourite tasks.
Yeah,
but
great stuff.
But the spin-off occasionally do massive ratings articles, mostly about things like ice cream or bags of chippies or biscuits or something like that. But this one is it's all 172 tasks of New Zealand Taskmaster rated.
Oh, good one.
Yeah. Like, great series. Consistently great. I think, is it season 16 of British Taskmaster is coming up soon?
Could be, yeah. It must be.
16.
Yeah. It's
cracking.
It's great stuff.
Alex Horn, obviously not running out of ideas in the UK.
No, I imagine they've got a big team of writers, I imagine. But
you would hope that, after the first couple of series, you'd think, I need help.
Yeah. Or just repeat the same tasks again. It doesn't matter. Yeah. It's 16 series on.
No, I think with the New Zealand one, I saw the names of a couple of comedy legends in the credits. So yeah, you obviously tap into your
maybe there's like a
central previous competitors.
Yeah, just a central pool of ideas because it's syndicated in all sorts of countries around the world, I think.
Yeah.
Alex must be doing all right for himself. I heard about Rowan Atkinson. He sort of owns the Mr. Bean franchise. And I think Mr. Bean, I'm sure I heard this right, was sold to every single TV network in the world, or every country in the world.
Wow.
There's some,
there's
some dollars for you, because it's mime, right?
I guess it's basically it's Monsieur Hulot.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing. It's you don't need to. You do need to translate it. He's basically, does he ever say a word?
No, not often. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, Rowan Atkinson's extremely wealthy.
Yes.
And why not? So anyway, speaking of TV shows, so I think I touched on this last week, The Traitors UK.
Yeah.
Oh, got a bit into that.
Can you get on with that?
Yeah, I'm racing ahead with that.
Cool.
Yeah, it's good. It's one of these social experiment things. There's 12 people in a room and 3 of them are designated to be bad guys. They've got to get rid of the good guys, and the good guys got to work out who the bad guys are, and it all gets very personal, very nasty, very quickly. Yeah. It's exciting TV. It's good fun. So that's good.
I haven't dipped into the New Zealand one yet because it's compared by Paul Henry, who I completely do not like. Yeah. So
that's an unusual choice.
I'm not going to go there.
It's an unusual choice, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, but do check out the UK one. It's on TVNZ.
Okay.
Also, new in my ears, if not my eyes, this week, there's a new series of From the Oast House with Alan Partridge. Now, this is it's not a podcast; it's actually an audio book. You buy it on Audible, but it's presented like a podcast. So every chapter is like a podcast episode. So it's a faux podcast, and it's back on form. I mean, I've been a Partridge fan for many, many years, since before he was even on TV, when he was on Radio 4. So I've always followed the work of Alan Partridge, and it would be my mastermind specialist subject, I think, Alan Partridge. I'm a bit of an expert.
Cool.
So yeah, back on form, big time. The last one of this wasn't quite so good. But yeah, this is season 3, and I'm really enjoying that. About halfway through those now, so that's good. You're not really a fan, are you? You never got it.
I'm not. No,
you get it or you don't.
Still doesn't grab me.
No, you're probably too late now. If you weren't there in '94 at the start, you probably left it too late. But I think it must be quite unique. I don't think there's ever been another character like that on TV, or all sorts of formats actually. That's just gone on and on and on and evolved. I can't think of one.
Yeah. So that's 30 years then.
It was earlier, probably 92. I think the character first appeared on
more than 30 years. Yeah.
What's it called? A Radio 4 show. I want to say Just a Minute, but it's not Just a Minute.
No.
It's like a spoof news show on Radio 4. On the Hour. I think it was called On the Hour.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
Way back, early 90s. So it's 30 years old, and it's gone from the radio chat show to the TV chat show to the sort of documentary about his house. He's done this hosting this one show type thing, and all the stuff on YouTube as well. Mid Morning Matters, the film, several books. It's a strong old franchise. That can't think of anything else that's ever done that.
No,
it's still going strong.
I don't know what it is about why I don't take to it. I think it's maybe the sort of bumbling nature of it that I don't get that. Yeah. Generally, The Office, the same thing, really. Although I must belatedly watch some of the American ones, as you told me that it's considerably better than the original.
But it's different. Very, very different. Very different to the original, to the British one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should at least give season 1 a go. See how you get on.
All good.
So that's what I've been listening to. I did also spot one thing in the news the other day. WordPad. You see this? WordPad?
Yes, WordPad.
In Windows? They're killing it off. It's going after 30 years. A lot of people will be upset by that because it can do pretty much anything most people would ever want to do in Word without having to pay for Word.
Yes.
It does it all, really, anything you'd want. So, yeah, they're killing off WordPad after all these years.
Yeah. I mean, you can get basic formatting in most things now.
Yeah.
I guess Google have killed it off a little bit with their stuff.
You can get
free.
You can get Microsoft Office for free, basic version for free.
Basic.
Yeah.
It depends if you're a student. Isn't that the case? Anyway,
I thought if you just had a Microsoft.
There are lots of other options.
Yeah, there are. Of course there are.
Yeah.
But it's quite handy. I'm sitting here with Notepad. Yeah, I still use Notepad all the time.
So do I.
But OneNote, obviously, OneNote is much better than Notepad because you can copy and paste and put images in it and all that kind of good stuff. So Mac users won't know what we're talking about, but there you go.
if they killed off Notepad, I'll be a bit upset.
Yeah.
Because that's quite handy for getting rid of formatting.
Yes.
If you
just want to
if you've copied something off a web page or something like that, just drop it into Notepad
drop
first.
It in there, straight into Arial, and start again.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all good.
Yeah, it's all good. So that is all from me. You got any more to add on your side?
No, because I was amazingly unprepared, as you know, for this particular thing. But as we say, it's only 25 minutes a week, and we can generally rattle on for that length of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there we go. Cool. So anyone out there, learn a few little bits of Reo. Come on, just start writing your emails in, starting and finishing your emails with greetings and goodbyes and stuff, and take it from there. It's not hard. It's not difficult.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's leave them to get back to their lives. That probably more exciting than ours. Say kia ora, Captain.
Kia ora, Captain.
Carpene. Kia ora, carpene. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm getting there. Okay. Goodbye, folks. We'll see you next time. Take care.
I'll tell you what.